Okay, JD and Shireen, Moji Masala. We are here today featuring our Gobi Masala and Kashmiri Garam Masala.
And our yet to be introduced Gosht broth masala, which is really the purpose of this video. Hi, Shireen here. And just in keeping with turning all our veg dishes into meat and veg dishes, we're sort of continuing here with the second one. We did dal and lamb last week, and it came out great. And today we're going to do the cauliflower lamb, gobi and lamb. One of our most popular veg dishes is the gobi. So a lot of you have a lot of practice making that. And so what I wanted to do today was show you how simple it is if you wanted to take that nice, simple sauteed gobi dish, turn it into something a little bit like more luxurious and a little bit more celebratory. Or you're just kind of craving meat. It's a great way to do it. We're going to come up with a meat broth masala. So it's literally a masala that you boil meat in. And sorry for the side noise there. It kind of is what it is.
Nora's running up and down, screaming as if she's running the 100-yard dash in our living room.
But we've learned to ignore it. I'm sure you will too. But anyway, so you boil some meat in this masala. Really simple. Literally, you make a broth out of it. And you kind of let the lamb really tenderize in there. So it's like, fully cooked and very flavorful, and the broth's flavorful and the meat's flavorful. And the blend that you use, which is, we have yet to introduce, but we're practicing here. That's less attractive right now. But this is going to be the blend for the broth masala. It's, it's going to be, fennel, turmeric, garlic, ginger, salt, cardamom, cinnamon, lots of really vibrant, sweet and earthy flavors in there. And even though this is not so pretty, but you've all seen broth before, you get this really kind of not so pretty, but incredibly delicious, slightly thick broth. And what we're going to do now, I did that step ahead again. It's a very simple step. You're just boiling the meat and the spices. So I went ahead and did that to save some time. Sorry, I have my rice on too here, which I have a timer on for. And so now what I did was I took the gobi masala and I made it exactly as is on our cook page on our website. I cooked it. The only difference is I didn't add the salt because I want to salt at the end because I salted the meat and I don't want to start overly salting everything. And I cooked it about 3 to 4 minutes before it was fully done, because when we bring them together, it needs to simmer a little bit more and you don't want mushy cauliflower. So that's really it. So, yeah. Tell me.
I want to work with you.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I have a sous chef here. So what we're going to do here is saute the meat in some onions and chili, and then literally merge the two together to get this like totally new flavorful awesome dish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Turn the heat on medium high. And this is, you're going to saute the onion, add a little chili, and brown the meat, no different than you would brown meat for any other dish. So there's really no new technique here at all.
Mama, can I pour this stuff in?
Sure. Let's see, we're going to use a high heat oil, vegetable oil, canola oil.
You could use any oil, Mommy, right?
Well, a high heat oil, something that doesn't burn on high heat. So go ahead and pour that in, Nora. But don't burn yourself here. Yep, good job. Okay. And then let that warm up just a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm also cooking rice, which I have here, because this dish is really, it's a braise. It's a wet braise, so there's curry. So, you need something to kind of absorb all that curry. So this is a rice dish to me. And now this oil is warm, so I'm going to just put my onions in. I'm going to brown the onions, just a little like a medium brown. Not as much as we browned it when we made the bagara the other day. Just a medium brown. When we do medium high heat, it's well past the translucent phase. Just nice and brown. And I don't have a lot of onion here. I should probably have a little bit more, but I had a smaller onion. That's okay. There's onion in the cauliflower. Let them see the cauliflower a little bit. So you can see the cauliflower is still, it's slightly soft, but it's got a crunch to it.
Hi, Corley.
Yep.
What should I pour in?
I'm going to tell you in a minute. We need to put this chili in when I tell you, okay? But we're trying to brown the onions first. So go back to the
Mama, they
onions.
look quite browned to me.
So we have a minute here. Corley, do you have any questions about cooking any of our stuff? Because you're on, and you know we sent you a big box this morning. Hopefully it gets to you tomorrow or the day after. But if you have any questions, feel free. If you'd like to ask, feel free.
All right. So this onion. I'm on a gas stove here, so it's pretty fast. I shouldn't take that long. I tend to move around my onions too much. I always say this, like you don't need to move them around as much as I do. You can just push them around a little bit as they brown. So, I don't know. I find it very therapeutic.
We're here
Oh,
for
that's
you.
hot. Don't touch that, honey, because that will burn. Did you touch it? You gotta wash your hands or touch it.
I didn't touch it.
If it gets in your eyes, that will hurt a lot.
I didn't touch it.
Okay. So that's red chili. So
Mama,
yeah.
pour it in right now.
Yeah, okay, almost.
Mama, mine's getting red.
Oh, you're right. One little bit that's the tomato. That's not the onion. So we're almost there, babe.
No, I'm getting right.
Is it?
I'm getting red.
You could be right. I think it needs like 30 more seconds. So there we go. So really the idea behind, turning these vegetable dishes into meat braises or meat curries is that you cook the meat, you cook the vegetable, you merge them together with like some very slight alterations. And it's not that much more time. I mean, it's COVID, we're working from home, so I actually made the meat broth this morning. And there's almost. Just keep your eye out. It's almost there, hon. And what I love about sort of doing the meat broth is that it makes the meat especially lamb, way less gamey. So the fat kind of obviously, separates. So when it cools, I made my broth earlier. When it cools, the broth, you can actually skim the fat off a little bit, and then the boiling of the meat just takes all the smell away. So you kind of get a less fatty, non-smelly lamb, which some people love that, but some people don't really love lamb because it's very gamey. So now it's brown. So that's kind of like another advantage. You could boil your meat in general, even without spices, before you do like a Rogan Josh, for example. Okay, go ahead. But don't touch the pan because the pan is hot. Very good. So
What did you just put in
all
there?
I put in there was some red chili.
Red chili or Kashmiri chili?
Kashmiri red chili. Because you can't add the chili in the broth. It just doesn't. The chili needs to be cooked. Red chili needs to be cooked in oil, which is why you always add it in kind of this paste phase. I'm going to turn it down because it's kind of burning a little bit. I'm going to turn my heat off because this chili just is churning really quickly. Yeah, babe.
Can I try one of those cauliflower?
Yeah. Go on outside and try it. And I'm going to get my meat.
Please, Dad.
So now I'm just going to take this meat here and not put the broth in. I'm just putting the meat in. It's going to splash a little bit because of the water mixing with the oil. But and you can get a little bit,
So
you don't
Corley
want to
joined
breathe right over it.
a little late. Can you tell her what we're making?
So Corley, what we're doing is very similar to what we did last week when we did the dal and then added in the meat, turned that into meat curry. We're doing that with our gobi. We're taking gobi and you're going to make it just the same way you make it on our website. And then you're going to boil some meat in a spice blend that we're going to introduce very soon. It's basically a meat broth blend. And you take that boiled meat, you're going to saute it, brown it.
Mama, this is delicious.
And you like that? Good, it's not even fully cooked yet. You're going to merge that in.
How did that change into that?
We're going to merge the cauliflower in with the meat to turn our quick
Mama, how
gobi
did
saute.
it change into that?
I added the meat. So show Coralie this since she's ready. So this is our gobi masala, and this is what it would look like before, when you make it. It's a nice, quick 20-minute saute.
I know what you
Hi,
very
Ruby.
light.
Mama, I know what you mean.
Hi, Ruhi. Thanks
I
for
know
joining
what
us today.
means it's going to look like the sunset.
Yeah, exactly, Nora. And yeah, so now I start browning the meat, which has so much flavor because there are so many. I didn't know if anyone else is joining. So this is the meat broth that we're going to be introducing soon. So this is what we do to boil meat in to basically make a meat curry, which we can merge in with, most of our spices and most of our vegetable dishes. I picked gobi today because it's one of our favorites. People are making the gobi like very regularly. So I love browning the meat. The smell is amazing. The onion, the spices. I was saying I made my broth a little earlier in the day, so kind of just been sitting in all this wonderful spice.
What do you think you could do with this spice if you're vegetarian? Like if you didn't eat meat, what could you make with this?
Well, I think the vegetarian dishes that we have are, they're adjusted for vegetables. So why you make this separate is this has a black cardamom and fennel, which is something that's very meat specific. But if you have if you're looking for like some meaty flavor and have meat substitutes, maybe you can suggest to me what you like to make as your protein. You might be able to saute a version of this with tofu, say for example. I could see that, like a very firm tofu though, and you wouldn't boil that. But I could see sauteing it and then doing exactly what we're doing here. I will try. You know what? I'm going to try that. I'm not going to just sort of throw that out there. I'm going to try that next. That's a great suggestion. So this looks good. This is already so tender. You see it's already breaking apart. In our culture, we like, we tend to eat the meat a little bit tougher, not like melt in your mouth tender. But I like it tender, and I feel like a lot of people in the Western culture, when they have the curry, kind of really like it tender. So you can not worry about overboiling it or overcooking it at this stage. But it's really starting to fall apart a little bit, so I'm going to stop. And now what I'm going to do, this is just the simple part, I'm going to take my 90% ready cauliflower. I didn't cook it till it was all the way soft because I'm going to merge it with here and put it in liquid, and I don't want mushy cauliflower. You can have a little bit more tender meat, but you don't want mushy cauliflower. It's just gonna, it's going to be like baby food. So I'm just blending it in just to mix it in there. And if you're just joining, I made the gobi, but I didn't add the salt in the gobi recipe because the broth has salt, so I don't want to over salt it. I might add so hopefully I missed some meat in here. That's okay. So I'm going to now take this liquid. It's a couple of cups of liquid, and I'm going to use all of it. It was pre-measured, and I simmered it down to about 2 cups. This needs to come in here. Oops. I'll turn my heat back on. And I don't know if they can see the pot. They can see what's going on here. So now everything's pretty fully cooked, but you want to merge the flavors. And the only other thing I'm going to do at the end of this is do that last bit of garam masala at the end. It just like seals the deal. I like to really say that, like, as good as any dishes, a half teaspoon, even a quarter teaspoon, a half teaspoon in a meat dish, probably a quarter teaspoon in like a vegetable dish. It just like wakes up the dish. It adds there's so many spices in garam masala, so that when you add a little bit, you're literally adding like, another 10 spices to your dish, and it's a finishing spice. It's not something you cook into it. It's just a sprinkle of a finishing spice, and you mix it in, and it is really amazing. So this is very stew looking like, although you wouldn't, it's too fatty to eat as a stew. But that, and it was already pretty thick, the broth, that's the thing. The texture was right. I simmered it down to 2 cups, so it's not too watery. So I'm going to bring this to a boil and pretty much give it, check on my rice, sorry. Give it like 5 minutes. Probably give it like 5 minutes. I'm going to check on my cauliflower and make sure it's not too mushy. So you can maybe watch this. So what I'm going to do is come back in about 10 minutes. If you can catch us, great. If not, we always put our videos up to show you the finished dish. But that's it. So simple. simple. You make your vegetable dishes, as we say. You boil some meat. You kind of merge them together, and you get a whole new dish with a whole new flavor profile that you can kind of like with not a lot of extra time.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll take a picture of the finished dish and we'll post it. Bye.